adjective will be immediately preceded by an adjective in most instances. A substantive adjective in the Greek language, again, is like the English, where the adjective actually functions as the noun. Its case is determined by its function in the sentence, so we could have substantive adjectives in the nominative case if they were functioning as the subject of the sentence, or we might have a substantival adjective in the accusative case if that noun is functioning as the direct object in the sentence. And generally, if an adjective in Greek is functioning substantively or as a substantive, we would recognize it because it stands alone, and there's nothing else functioning as the subject if it's a nominative substantival, or as the direct object if it's an accusative substantival. Here are a few examples. Ha agathos, the good. And here we sometimes can attribute something to the gender when we're doing translating substantival adjectives, but not always. But here, because it's this adjective as well as the definite article is in the nominative masculine singular, we might say the good man or the good person. Whereas we could have a substantival adjective that is in the nominative feminine singular or the nominative or the neuter nominative singular. So we can at times think in terms of gender when we're translating substantival adjectives. Here's an example of a feminine accusative noun with a definite article and agreement functioning as a substantive as a direct object because it's in the accusative case. So the faithful woman might be, or we could just say the faithful. You can keep it pretty neutral. Tois pistois, there's a dative plural. To the faithful men or ones. An example from Matthew 6:13. Alla rusai hemas apo tu poneru. So here we have, this is the Lord's Prayer, but Allah deliver us, as an accusative pronoun, object of the verb. Apo tu poneru, a prepositional phrase beginning with apo, and apo is often translated, or it is translated from when it's followed by a genitive object, and we will learn that when we cover prepositions, but just a little extra knowledge there. Apo tu poneru, from what? From the evil. Now, this is a genitive masculine singular object. It also, because of the way that it is formed and it's an adjective, adjectives can sometimes be any gender. So here it could be a neuter, so it could be from the evil one, which would be more neuter, or from the evil person, being a masculine, like a male, or a person if it was in the genitive masculine. So we're going to have to use context when we run across adjectives that could, because of their declensions, be either gender. Now, in this instance, it probably makes more sense to stay more broad and cosmological from the evil, or from the evil one, rather than an evil person in the Lord's Prayer. Substantival adjectives. Here's a few examples. Ha agathos, the good man. Hoi agathoi, the good men or good ones, if you don't want to attribute gender. Hey agathes, the good woman. Hai agathai, the good women. Ta agathon, the good thing, because there's the neuter singular. Ta agatha, neuter plural, the good things. When we run across a predicate adjective, again, it's asserting something about the subject, and it's usually in the predicate part of the sentence and combined with a to be verb. The main way we're going to recognize it is that it is used when the definite article does not immediately precede the adjective. Here's an example. We have article, ha, anthropos, noun, adjective. So article, noun, adjective. In this construction, that article is before the noun, not before the adjective. So we can assume a predicate. And so in order to make this a sentence, we would have to add the to be verb, saying that it's predicating something. So our translation of that would actually be the man is good. So agathos is predicating something about the man, telling us something about that man. Agathos ha anthropos. Here we have, again, the adjective. It's in a different position, but it still does not have the definite article preceding it, whereas ha anthropos does. However, this adjective is in agreement in number, case, and gender with the noun it's modifying. So again, we're going to add a to be verb and say the man is good. Now, the definite article triggers us to know that the man is going to probably be the subject, whereas agathos will be the predicate nominative. Yes, predicate nominative or predicate adjective. It happens to be in the nominative case. So again, the kind of to identify adjectives in the Greek, the attributive position, the article, the adjective will be immediately preceded by the article. And those, like these examples that we saw earlier, where we have article, adjective, noun, article, adjective. Now this is called a restrictive use if you want to get down into categories, because it's saying the man. Which man? The man, the good one. Okay, so we have article, noun, article, adjective. That's often called a restrictive use. Underneath, that's a category underneath attributive. But both of these, what you have in common is that the definite article precedes the adjective, not the noun. The predicate, again, you will not have an article immediately preceding the adjective, but if it's still predicating something about the noun, it will be in agreement in number, case, and gender. So we have article, noun, adjective, or adjective, article, noun, and both will be translated the same way, and you'd add that to be verb. The person is good, or the man is good. Now, there are instances in the Greek where we don't have an article at all, and that could often, so far, I've presented that being a scenario where you would think predicate, but there are instances where you have an attributive adjective and you just have no articles. That means the noun doesn't have the article, nor does the adjective. So here are some examples. In this point, you're going to have to use context, the immediate context, to try to translate. So we have anthropos, agathos. It's in agreement, but they can be in agreement in number, case, and gender and be predicate or be attributive. Now, these instances would not be substantival because there is something that this word is in agreement with and modifying. So a substantive would have to be standalone, remember, if it's working as the actual noun. So actually we would have two options, and we'd have to look at context to determine, is this saying the person, a predicate adjective translation, a person is good, or is this an attributive adjective, a good person? There are 3 degrees of adjectives. So if you're looking on BibleWorks and you see this come up and you're parsing, you'll know kind of what this is referring to. It's the degrees of adjectives are similar to English. In Greek, you have a positive adjective, which is just the basic beginning of the adjective. So the example in English is big, whereas a comparative adjective would be comparing two things, and so the adjective would be comparable to our English bigger, or adding the er, and a superlative would be kind of the greatest or the biggest. We're adding the est to the end, and that would be referring to a comparison of 3 or more items.